Unsurprisingly, the Nerd and Tie podcast is a part of the Nerd and Tie podcast network. For more shows from actual play to true crime to witchcraft, go to nerdandtie.com or join our Discord by going to nerdandtie.com/Discord. Did you know you could sponsor Nerd and Tie? That's right. For just $20, we'd say your name here. We'd talk about how cool you are. We'd give a high five to your mom. Just go to nerdandtie.com, click on the sponsor information button link thing, and follow the directions. Or, if you'd like to contribute to our legal fund, you can go to gofundme.com/nerdandtie.
On this month's edition of Nerd and Tie, Utada Hikaru is out as non-binary. Godzilla and Loki have new TV shows that are streaming. And people are angry at Disney for all the wrong reasons again. All this in the Vomit Hat Steve Challenge on this month's Nerd and Tie.
Woohoo.
Oh yeah. We are live again for this month's dynamic installment of Nerd and Tie. It's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, we're flying Genless this month.
We are tragically Genless.
Gen is fine. Gen is off in the wilderness. Apparently.
Mm-hmm.
But
having some sort of life-changing adventure, I guess.
But having been cut off by me, that's Nick Izumi, and I'm Trey Doran. I jumped in on the intros there, but I don't care, man.
It's all good.
It's been a weird frickin' couple weeks.
Yeah, it has been like the highs have been really high and the lows have been super low.
Yeah, yeah. It's we're not going to talk about this episode really, but we can. I went up to the real world and saw a movie in a public setting for the first time since Star Wars.
Wow.
Yeah, because I hadn't the few movies that came out in 2020, I didn't see them in theaters, and so I saw Birds of Prey on demand, I saw Sonic on demand. So yeah, that was my. Krista and I went up to the drive-in movie theater that's about 45 minutes away from us and went and saw Fast 9, which is certainly a film.
I got nothing. I still haven't been out to a theater since Birds of Prey.
Yeah,
it's been that long.
The nice thing about a drive-in movie theater is that I can just close the windows and bubble away from everybody while still being there and having the communal movie experience. So
that's true.
It was nice. I still wore a mask when I went up to concessions, even though no one else was. But nobody looked at me funny, so I consider that a win. And Krista and I are both fully vaccinated. I'm just paranoid. And paranoia has served me well so far, so I will not abandon it. But
I definitely get that. I'm also fully vaxxed, but I wear my mask usually when I go out, just as a common courtesy thing.
Yeah. But we went and saw Fast 9, and surprisingly, it was everything I expected it to be, and more or less, more and less. It that franchise really just, I miss when it was about stealing DVD players. I miss when it was about a movie made by someone who watched Point Break one time and said, what if we did this with they watched Point Break and then read an article on street racing and made a movie, and it was great. And now they've got a Fiero in space, and Justin Lin being back in the franchise sure did drag in a lot of Tokyo Drift stuff into this one. Lucas Black got to be in another movie. It's, everyone's talking about Han, but this is the third appearance of Lucas Black's character. And he at one point was going to take over the franchise.
That's still crazy to me.
We live in a world where there's a possible universe out there where Lucas Black became the star of the Fast and the Furious movies.
I have a feeling alternate universes is going to be a recurring theme on this episode. Actually, I know it for a fact.
I think that's enough Fast and the Furious though, because it's exactly what you think it's gonna be, and it's not good, but stuff explodes, and they defy the laws of physics, and that's not how magnets work. I'm just leaving it there.
Want to bet?
Yes. Yes.
Well, I guess if we want to go for our into our news segments, I think after how weird these last couple weeks were, we should start out on a very high note. At least in my opinion, a very high note.
So like how many octaves over high C are we going here? Middle C. Like what high C?
Yeah. We're well, you know, it's only a shame that we're not talking about someone who typically sings soprano, but we are talking about one of my really, I think, if you were in the nerd culture scene in the mid 2000s, Utada Hikaru was pretty unavoidable, especially if you were at the anime convention scene where Hikaru, of course, famously did the opening for the Kingdom Hearts games.
You're giving me too many things. Lately, you're all I need.
I loved a lot of I know I spent a lot of my late high school, early college years listening to Utada, and she comes back now and then.
But is that the pronoun we should be using?
That's where I screwed up just now, because Utada Hikaru just came out as non-binary. So they're on our team now.
Yeah, for those of you who are unaware, pretty much all three of us on the Nerd and Tie podcast are non-binary. So, yeah, Hikaru Utada, yeah, I'm going to say it the way that they're credited on English soundtracks. So sue me. Announced on Instagram on Friday that they're non-binary.
Which is cool as hell.
So they were on a live stream with Hideaki Anno. I know how to say it. It's just my mouth wouldn't do it. Like I know what the word is supposed, but yeah, Evangelion's Hideaki Anno. They were on a live stream with him, and before Anno appeared on the stream, Utada said, "I'm non-binary. Happy Pride Month."
I love them so much. You know, I should have mentioned Utada did the theme songs for the Evangelion Rebuild movies, and Anno actually directed their most recent music video.
Oh.
So that's really cool.
Yeah, it's been rumored that they are not cishet for a while. For a few years, but it's nice to see like solid solid firm.
I'm not gonna lie, it feels really good, honestly.
Yeah, they were the they did the theme song for Evangelion 3.0 plus 1.0 Thrice Upon a Time.
They also did if I'm not mistaken, they also did the first two films and the first three films, like the theme songs for all of the new Eva movies.
I haven't been paying attention to the rebuilds because I don't care. I finished Evangelion when I finished it. When I watched the end of it, when I watched the end of Evangelion, I said this is a less satisfying ending than the series. I have a feeling the more I watch of this, the less satisfied I'm gonna be. So I stopped. When the rebuilds happen, I'm like, I'm glad these animators are getting work. I'm gonna go watch something else.
I'm still enjoying them. The third film was like more overtly homoerotic and dripping with techno babble, but
That's right up your alley.
I'm about to say that's basically
That's a show made for
that's
Nick
about
Izumi.
as yeah, that's basically as close to catnip as it gets for me. Um, Homoerotic techno babble, super robot bullshit. Yeah, that's basically that's me. That's
Yeah,
just they just like Ano just made a movie specifically for me.
yeah. It's so I think I am excited for every time someone steps forward. It's a good thing,
hmm
and
And I don't know when it's someone who I've been such a fan of for such a long time, it
yeah,
warms my heart. It really does. So that, like I said, I thought that was a pretty happy way to start out this.
yeah.
I'm I'm happy that they're recording stuff again, and I'm really happy that they're on our team.
Yay.
Welcome to the team, Utada.
Oh,
Let's see. So moving down the line, though, there's something else from Japan that I want to talk about.
what?
Yeah.
Something from Japan that Nick wants to talk about.
Something from Japan I want to talk about. I know, shocking. Um,
Heaven for fens.
I I've said it before. I'll say it again. I'm really not a fan of Netflix model for how it does anime. I I don't like taking something that is broadcasting in Japan, just kind of holding it hostage and then releasing it in one big chunk after the series already ended in Japan, and thus kind of kills international week to week fan discussion,
It's
which is
it's almost
super
like they're
fun.
encouraging people to go back to fan subs.
Yeah, it's almost like they're encouraging piracy.
It's you know how we killed piracy in anime, right? The simulcasting. That's what killed it. That's what ended most anime piracy in America.
And the worst part is that because of Netflix stupid strategy, it means that like US and especially like just or Netflix locked regions don't get to do that international like discussing things from week to week, which in a way, yeah, it kills like week to week enjoyment and also like the lasting impact of shows. Uh,
So we're gonna
sh-
have to do
uh,
this. Is what we're gonna have to do, Nick. This is what we're gonna have to
uh,
do. We're gonna have to get one person to download the fan sub, and then get like a whole group of people together, and like we could watch it like all on one screen in one place. It could be like a club or
this
something. Yeah,
is
and
sounding really similar to late 90s, early 2000s anime clubs, Trey. I'm having flashbacks to being a lot greasier and having really bad hair.
and
Uh,
then we can make and then we just need to get like two VCRs together, and we can make copies of the fan sub and distribute that to like we could like distribute that like like in back corners of conventions maybe, or like just like put a form on a website and have people send us blank tapes and have them pay for shipping. Look, this is a new idea. No one's ever done this before. It's just hear me out.
this is see this episode is also like really great for people who didn't grow up with anime when I did, or even more so like when Trey did. This
Definitely
is the
what I
kind of
did.
crap we had to do.
So we can
Like
open up
this
a really shady store, right? And we can rent out these tapes out of the back for like $5 with labels written in Sharpie, and everyone will think it's like it'll be great. It'll be fine. We'll also sell some bootleg keychains.
So, like I said, this is a terrible strategy. I hate it, but I am honest to God ecstatic that Studio Bones' Godzilla Singular Point is finally out of Netflix jail and people are able to watch it. Um, it's super good. I haven't quite finished it yet, but I'll put it this way. I'm relatively known for being an apologist for the Polygon Pictures CGI anime Godzilla. If nothing else, Gen Urobuchi did some really interesting stuff in reinterpreting the Godzilla world, but this show is much more what I wanted when I heard Godzilla anime. Um, it's about underfunded scientists and engineers trying to deal with kaiju invasion.
Okay.
And like to give you an idea of how legitimately compelling these characters are, Godzilla proper doesn't really show up until like the fifth episode.
Okay. So is this in any pre-existing continuity, or is it a new thing?
It's in its own little continuity. It seems to be in a universe where there haven't been Godzilla attacks before. You have and then suddenly this red dust starts appearing, and these kaiju start showing up. And added bonus, much to my joy, almost all the kaiju, save for Godzilla himself, have been like C-listers. So it's like Rodans show up. I think Rodan's one of our biggest non-Godzilla names. But then it's things like Kamunga, Kamakuris, Anguirus, and like they're just being these weird problems. And on one hand, you have this robotics engineering company that is developing this hilarious built in a garage version of Jet Jaguar.
Okay. But like actual Jet Jaguar?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Like they named him Jet Jaguar, looks like Jet Jaguar. But one of the guys on the engineering team is developing an AI. So eventually he puts the AI in Jet Jaguar. So the elderly crazed mechanic stops trying to pilot it. Um, so that's really fun and silly and exciting. And at the same time, you have this 19-year-old um, uh, grad student named May, who is really into Biologia Fantastica. And she is working with a completely different, kind of shady science division that seems to think there's some multiversal theory or breaks in the space-time continuum that's causing these monsters to happen. And there's all this like actually hard science fiction going on in addition to all the silliness. It's quite good.
Okay.
Oh, bonus points. The character designer is the artist who worked on the character designs for the anime Blue Exorcist, and it is not populated by typically attractive anime people.
Oh.
The uh, May, May, the girl I mentioned, is a science gremlin who who never seems to wear makeup, keeps her hair kind of shabby, and runs around in gym shorts doing math. Well, the other lead, the engineer who developed the AI, is this tired-looking man with really bad posture, and I adore them both. It's very good. It's very I I don't know what I was expecting, but it's better than I hoped for. I'm having a lot of fun with it. It's 13 episodes. Um, it's on Netflix. Check it out. I
That's
like
neat.
it. Yeah, it's feel good. It's been a good year for Godzilla. Kong was really good, and this anime is a lot of fun.
Well,
So
neat.
yeah, it's worth your time. Both you personally, Trey, and the audience at home, check it out. It's really fun. And speaking of multiversal theory,
So
uh,
yeah,
yeah,
we are several episodes. So the Loki series premiered um, earlier this month on Disney Plus, and we're a few episodes in. We're about halfway through, and this is our mini review of it, and by that I mean Trey's mini review of it because Nick hasn't watched it yet, and Gen's not here. Although let's not kid ourselves. There's no way Gen watches anything on time.
Gen actually has watched this
Oh
one. I'm
wow,
the
that's
one who's
surprising.
behind on this.
All right. Well, So the Loki series is I'm going to keep this mild spoilers, but nothing major, obviously, because we are still only halfway through the season. So, and we'll probably reflect on how the season ends next month, depending on timing of when we record the episode, because, schedules get weird in the summer. I'll say that, so the basic premise for anyone who hasn't been paying attention is that the Loki we're following is the one from the alternate timeline in Endgame. Who escapes and then immediately gets dragged in by the TVA for being a variant and ruining the timeline. Although really, it's the Avengers who screwed up the timeline. He didn't do anything. But Loki is brought in as a variant, and the only reason he effectively doesn't get destroyed is because Mobius, Owen Wilson's character, is dealing with another variant Loki who's been jumping around the timeline causing havoc, and so he wants to recruit Tom Hiddleston, our main character Loki, to help to help defeat the other Loki.
Okay, that tracks.
Yeah.
This seems like fun. I was pretty much on... I've never disliked Hiddleston's performance, and I like Owen Wilson a lot.
Yeah. So Hiddleston, his character does get caught up on Loki's full timeline of what he was supposed to live through when Owen Wilson's Mobius shows him effectively the Marvel movies. They're literally puts on a projector and you see scenes from Marvel movies. It's
beautiful.
And so far it's been really, really excellent. The big thing is it's a minor spoiler to say that the Loki that they're following is a female Loki.
Okay.
It's really interesting what they're doing with Lady Loki. So they the version of Loki they're doing is kind of a combination of she's played by Sophia DiMartino, but the character is actually kind of a combination of Loki and the Sylvie version of Enchantress from the comics.
Okay.
So not the first Enchantress, Marvel Enchantress, but the second one, the one who was connected more to the Loki lore. But in this, it's just that Loki has started calling herself Sylvie, that she has moved beyond being Loki, is what she said. It might just be bullshit, but who knows?
I guess we'll see. I honestly thought it was really weird that, Enchantress being an A-list Thor character, I thought it was kind of weird that they hadn't brought her in.
Right. So this is how they're bringing her into the MCU, by making her a variant of Loki.
Yeah, I dig that.
Yeah. And they did canonically establish in the previous episode that both versions of Loki are bisexual.
Beautiful.
So, Marvel finally has a bisexual protagonist. It just took them being a former villain, apparently.
Yeah, that's honestly the thing that I've heard about that, and that's something that's really... It bothers me because, let's be clear, we're introduced to this character with them trying to do a genocide.
Well,
let's not whitewash it.
Was he trying to do a genocide in Thor?
Yeah, his goal was to mess with the Bifrost to completely destroy the Frost Giants. It was targeted trying to get rid of a single race. Yeah, that's a genocide.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's but yeah, it's the thing though is that in Thor: The Dark World and Ragnarok, we got a much more sympathetic Loki, who the character grew, and they the way they effectively fast forwarded through that character growth in this series is having him watch the previous stuff. He also gets humbled pretty hard at the TVA, pretty fast.
Which okay, that makes me a bit more excited about this because that was kind of my that's one of my big hangups is that we met this character in the context of the first two movies he's in. He tries to do a genocide and then he kills more people than in 2 days than Jack the Ripper did in his entire career.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah. So it's
I don't know.
it's yeah. So but the Sylvie character is really kind of fun because she's very believably a Loki.
Right.
But they've given her like enchantress powers. It's like her magic. She learned different magic than our main than our more the Tom Hiddleston Loki. We do also see like different like with the TVA they show images of different kinds of Loki, like one who's just like Tom Hiddleston but blue because like he apparently embraced his frost giantness, or like there was like this version that was like this huge hulking dude. Very fun stuff. It's so far like I can't really describe what's happening anymore without giving actual spoilers away. But
I'm looking forward to watching it though.
Yeah,
it looks fun.
So far I'm really enjoying it. And yeah, but finally Marvel had the balls to canonically on screen, put out there that a character was bisexual. I mean, sure, it's the character based off of a god who got fucked by a horse, but
Mm-hmm.
and that's just in regular mythology.
Yeah, that's just
so
that's just the regular stuff.
It feels
that's
respectful to the source material to make sure. Because Loki's the most like out of the Norse pantheon. He's the most gender fluid, sexually fluid god there is.
Yeah, and again, I do love that.
Yeah,
I'm here for that. I do wish that it was that our first out character one wasn't an extremely villainous villain, and two, I wish people from Marvel at the same time would stop bending over backwards to just remind me anytime they do a new Captain America thing. By the way, not gay.
Yeah, he's bi. Anyways,
you know what I mean though. Like
no,
this, it is. I did a post on Twitter about this, but I stand by it. Like whether Disney acknowledges it or not, James Buchanan Barnes, the MCU version of him in particular, has become a gay icon.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's just it's a thing. Like the queer community really glommed onto Bucky, and frankly, rightfully so. Yeah. And it's just so frustrating that it feels like people working for Marvel will bend over backwards to be like, no, you're wrong.
Well,
it's like
I think it's going to take time. It's like the nice thing, I mean, the Loki thing felt like long coming though, because like there was so much subtext in Ragnarok that but Taika Waititi's hands were tied during that movie, and that. So, although here's the thing, this is my suspicion. Disney Plus, they're not relying for international distribution, they're in control of the service, versus when they go and put films out in Russia and China, and they're worried about getting censored, that they are giving the writers more freedom for this on a TV series where they control the distribution platform internationally.
And I'm glad for that. I'm gonna.
Oh, it's all about money. It's 100% about money. It's money. It's go look at Alex Hirsch's Twitter.
Yeah, that's what it's all. Dear God, it's that same thing. There's so many things to be annoyed with Disney about that they actually do. I mean, be it stuff like that, or doing a Disney animation supports Pride Month and just doing, Donald, Goofy, and Mickey, and me being in the corner like, you have gay cartoon characters now. Like, you're not gonna put, you own Luz and Amity Blight. Why would you not? Never mind.
Yeah.
Go watch The Owl House. It's really good. Uh,
Well, and the problem is that Disney does all this bad stuff, but people will accuse Disney of things that they didn't do constantly.
yeah,
Like,
and it. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say to advance us to our next story.
Yeah. Speaking of Loki, actually.
Yeah, the dumbest shit happened on social media, and this was all over Twitter, Tumblr, Facebook, things that people who are younger than us use that I don't know what they are. There was this weird thing going around, this petition of people like saying that Disney was trying to either trademark or claim copyright over the Norse gods, and it's just no one and everybody passed this around without looking any deeper into it, because they claim that they were trying to trademark Loki, the god.
No one did even a modicum of research.
Right, none.
Not even
zero. This made it on Daily Dot, and they did no research. Like, Daily Dot put out an article on this without doing a moment to dig deeper, and it just infuriated me. So what happened is that, like, earlier this month, this whole thing that Disney was trying to claim all legal rights over Loki, the Norse god. Now, let's be very clear. Disney does have a trademark on the specific Loki logos that they use, and they do own the copyright through Marvel of the Loki, of the Marvel Universe version of Loki.
Yes, the specifically green costume, big gold horn helmet created by Jack Kirby one.
Brother of Thor Loki, as not to be confused when in in mythology, where he's the blood brother of Odin. So not Thor's brother. Let's be really clear about that. And then there are shows like Ragnarok, which just confuse everything by making the reincarnation of Loki the brother of the reincarnation of Thor, but still the tradition. Okay. We don't need to talk about Ragnarok. It's a show that I watched. It's so. What happened was, so what is this one person who was selling a shirt on Redbubble, right? And it was a shirt with LOWKEY version of Loki on it, and it was titled Low Key Loki, right? And it was meant to be, and while the artist who made it claims he tried to make it a different colored text and a different font, it is a recreation of a shirt that Loki wears in the comics and was explicitly created to be a recreation of that shirt for cosplay. All right?
Yep.
So let's be very clear that this is not a situation where now, is it overreaching probably to say that this would have violated Marvel's copyright or trademarks in this particular situation? It might be.
Yeah, there's probably argument to be made there.
But they put Loki, L-O-K-I, in the search term, and it is specifically a recreation of, it is a reference to the Marvel character, all right? So what happened was that Redbubble monitors their own stuff to some degree, not always greatly, but not always most efficiently, but they do. And for certain rights holders, they are proactive. Like, so Redbubble saw the keyword, saw the item, and Redbubble, without any word from Disney, literally Disney did not even know that this shirt existed, let alone contact anyone. Redbubble took it down, saying it was too it's that Redbubble decided it was in violation of it and took it down. So the private company running this service took it down under the belief that it was a violation of Disney's intellectual property.
And maybe I'm just, anytime I see people getting upset about this sort of thing, my BS detector just immediately goes off. The first thing I did was check Snopes. Like, I didn't even, because I saw like a bunch of people sharing it, and I'm like, there's no sources on this.
Well, and I did go back to the original the at your Boswell like tweet.
Right.
And I found that, and I read that, and I was like, this doesn't say that Disney asked for it to be taken down. This doesn't. And then I looked at like what it was, and I'm like, I've seen that. I've seen comic panels of this. I've seen a comic panel of this shirt, and like it's Marvel literally like tweeted out an image of Loki in this shirt in August of 2019. Like, it is now. So what happened is that like this guy tweeted this thing, and he claimed it, and mind you, admitting that it was based off of the Marvel character still. And the internet went nuts, and they made these petitions, and like, oh, they're trying to cover those. I'm like, do you think if Disney thought they could lock down this character entirely, they wouldn't have already? Like, the Asylum made the almighty Thor movie.
Yeah, it was absolutely ridiculous. Like, I again, people need to understand.
Ragnarok on Netflix.
Of course, Disney can't copyright the Norse gods. That's ridiculous. But like, but
heck,
they
the Icelandic show Ragnarok uses the same title as the last released Thor movie,
as the best Thor movie.
Well, yeah,
frankly,
exactly, yeah.
And yeah, it like it's not like it's so. I just wish people understood. It's of course. Now, should Disney be able to claim copyright to these characters? Like, I also don't think they should be able to do that. I don't think Disney should have been able to lobby to make people able to renew copyright indefinitely on characters, because I think things should eventually fall into public domain. But at the same time, of course they don't think they own Loki, but they own the Jack Kirby version of Loki.
Yeah.
Of course they don't think they own all versions of Thor, but they own blue shirt, red cape, himbo Thor. Like, that's theirs.
And again, like, I'm just infuriated that the Daily Dot put out a story, like, without doing any fact checks. And like,
that's the part that pisses me off the most. Like, I mainly saw it, like, I saw it passed around on Twitter and on my Facebook, and my first thing was, like the second time I saw it, I was like, okay, my bullshit detector is going off.
Like, the most
isn't adding up.
Yeah, like, Newsweek went out and confirmed that Disney said that they didn't order the takedown. And, like, Daily Dot has gone and updated, like, no, the Daily Dot story is largely, like, still up. Like, it's... And Redbubble has told Daily Dot the removal design was an error and that it's since been reinstated. Yeah, so it, like... this is just infuriating.
Yeah,
like, do better.
It's wildly irresponsible, and then they can't even own up to the fact that they screwed the pooch hard on this one.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, Brooke Sjoberg, or Sjoberg. All right, it was okay. So the article was written by an editorial intern, but who's apparently studying journalism at the University of Texas at Austin. All right, Brooke, here's my advice: fact check. Go out for comment before you start publishing. Like, do 5 minutes of research on what happened, or the fact that it's clear. Like, read the letter from Redbubble in your original source, which clearly says that Redbubble is doing this proactively without an actual, like, request from the rights holder that they're doing it in favor of.
My advice would be find a better journalism school, because wow.
Yeah, so
that's bad, dude.
This is a failure. Bad. This is a failure on the writer's part of Brooks Soberg, Joberg, however I'm supposed to say the name. It's my brain wants to do things with my mouth I can't do when I say it. It's a failure on the writer's part for not properly researching an article before publishing. It is a failure of the Daily Dot's editorial team for having apparently no one monitoring about whether or not this was correctly researched. It is, and it's just like I'm mad at the petition, but I'm more angry at a supposed journalistic source. Like, no journalism was done here.
I'm also a little bit mad at just people not even like that. No one. I shouldn't say that no one. Obviously, we did and other people did, but so many people didn't even do any legwork. It was just they saw what was an obviously dumb headline and just believed it.
I'm going to do a whole episode on this on BS Free Witchcraft in August.
Okay.
Because
Excellent.
this also really went around like the witchcraft and pagan communities, obviously, because it was an accusation regarding a Norse god. And, you know, if you want to pick two pantheons that are really popular, they are in American neo-paganism, they are the Norse pantheon and the Greek pantheon, which should have told people something, because Disney didn't go around claiming that they owned Hercules when they made a whole animated movie. Why?
Mind-boggling.
Stupid. Yeah.
It's mind-boggling. Hey, as much as it pains me to defend a big corporation at Disney, like Disney, I feel like we need to do it one more time, because fans have been stupid about something else as well.
Yeah.
As it turns out. So a new I think I told you this, Trey. I like Legos. Like I like Lego blocks. I think they're fun.
They are neat.
I especially like as much as I really wish Lego would just go back to like doing like, you know, castles and knights and stuff. I do enjoy licensed characters, and I especially like their Star Wars stuff. It's really fun. I love Lego Star Wars. So, little did I know, trouble was afoot, Trey. It's bad. You're not going to believe what they did. You're not going to believe it. This is the worst thing that Disney has done to Star Wars yet. They have a bunch of new kits from the new season of The Mandalorian. They've got a Mandalorian fighter. They've got an Imperial light cruiser, and they have Boba Fett's ship, and it's just labeled Boba Fett Starship.
Oh no!
They didn't write Slave-1 on the box. What are we gonna do?
You know who's really mad about that? You know who's really angry about that? One of the actors, an actor who played Boba Fett. Now was it, you know, Daniel Logan, who played young Boba Fett in the prequels? No, it wasn't him. No. Was it the original actor, Jeremy Bulloch? No, he's dead. Was it the original actor who voiced him in the cartoon in the Star Wars Holiday Special, Don Franks? No, he's also been dead even longer. Was it Tamura Morrison, the current actor playing Boba Fett, who also played Jango Fett, who previously owned that ship? No, it was... It was Mark Anthony Austin who put on the suit for the special edition of episode 4 in that damn Jabba the Hutt scene. He's super angry. The Newsweek headline is great. Boba Fett actor outraged at Slave-1 ship rename. I'm like, is he though? Like,
not. I was going to say, not even one of the Boba Fett actors that matter. I mean, not even I don't remember who played him in Clone Wars either. But by the way, definitely the Tamara Morrison and the Clone Wars ones definitely were more definitive versions of the character than this guy.
Yeah, I think it might have been Tamara Morrison, because he came back for a lot of stuff.
He's pretty. I'm just saying, like legend.
Yeah.
I don't think he played, because in Clone Wars there's teenage Boba Fett's around for a while, and
Oh,
he has like a really high voice. So I don't.
yeah. Although there's a chance that that might have been that. I think that was Daniel Logan.
Oh, if they got him back,
I
I
think
shouldn't
so.
be surprised they got him back. 'Cause Clone Wars
He's got
is
a
really
credit
good
for
show.
the Clone Wars. So
Okay, yeah.
I haven't looked to see, but he is credited as having done voices on Clone Wars. So
After season 1, it becomes amazing Star Wars storytelling. But yeah.
yeah.
Literally any of the other actors you listed, literally any of
Yeah.
them have more right to be called Boba Fett actor than that guy.
I'm like, it feels really misleading to put that in the headline when it's like, it's not Tamura Morrison, though, who is currently playing Boba Fett on the show. It's that guy who was working for Industrial Light and Magic as a special effects person who put the suit on for one terrible scene that the movie didn't need. In fact, I don't watch a version of the movie with him in it when I go back and watch it. But he tweeted, "My ship will forever be Slave-1. Nothing, not even hashtag Disney, can or will change that. This is the way." That feels really, really like him saying this is the way. It's like, you don't get to say that. And he also said, "I'm coming for you, Disney execs." I'm like, wow, guy who shows up at cons trying to market that he was Boba Fett for 30 seconds once.
Also, can we kind of maybe acknowledge, I don't know, that this is the way wasn't even a Mandalorian thing until Disney?
Yeah.
Like...
or the fact that he had not been Boba Fett for like decades when that line was spoken. Yeah, we know.
Yeah.
He was
Okay. I need to ask you this, Trey. This is important. I'm trying to remember this. Do they ever call it Slave-1 on screen?
Nope.
I was about to say
There's a canon comic where it's called Slave-1, but it's never said online.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry.
It's never said on screen in any of the films or in The Mandalorian.
Yeah, because like when I was a little kid, sorry, this is a little flashback to 1998 Nick again. So 1998 Nick got a Slave-1 toy for my Kenner Boba Fett action figure. And it's super cool. I think I still have it in my basement. But even when I was a little kid, two thoughts went through my head when I read that toy box. One, I don't remember them calling it that. And two, should the word slave be on a Christmas toy?
Yeah.
Those are the two things going through my head at the time.
There are people retcon there's a theoretical retcon that because Boba Fett is the first clone of which he's not of Jango Fett, and also I think the ship had that name before Boba Fett took it, because I think Jango Fett flew Slave-1, right?
Yeah, Jango did that. It's one of the only scenes I really enjoy in episode 2 is he does the dogfight with Kenobi.
Yeah, it showed up in episode 2 Attack of the Clones. Yeah, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's
a big chunk of Boba's character subplot in Clone Wars is him stealing his ship back from some mercenaries who stole it from him because he was a little kid.
It might get called that in the Clone Wars at some point. I can't say.
Maybe, but even then, like, I honestly don't remember them saying it on screen.
Here's the whole thing. They're not in continuity changing the name of the damn ship. Like, that's the thing. They're not changing the name of Slave-1 in canon. They are just not going to put it on a toy box.
Yeah, that's
Especially because people know the name. Little kids who are growing up now watching The Mandalorian and who will watch Book of Boba Fett, like, they're just going to know it as Boba Fett's ship. When they're in the toy aisle, they're going to see Boba Fett and go, I want Boba Fett's thing. They're not going to know Slave-1. I didn't know what Slave-1 was until I was a teenager, and I had watched the Star Wars trilogy so many times. And let's be clear, when I was a teenager, the original Star Wars trilogy was the only one that existed. So Like there's no weird like. Yeah, I'm old.
And it's cool.
No, but I'm saying is it's like I learned it from reading like the EU books, but it was never important. And in marketing, I just would have like if the first time I saw a toy, I'd be like, oh, that's what the ship is named. Like that's how I learned a lot of background Star Wars characters' names. You see the name on a toy and you go, oh, that's what that's called.
And that's so. I think that's also like a difference in. I think in like how you and I approached it and how a lot of people approached it versus where I think a lot of the toxic nerd culture and like the people who use liking Star Wars as their only, personal trait differ is for me growing up, and from the sounds of it, I don't want to put words in your mouth, Trey, but it sounds like you were kind of on the same page. Growing up, there were a ton of things that are never named on screen in Star Wars, and then I would see a name on the toy box, and I'd be like, oh, this seems like a dumb name they made up to put on the toy.
It was.
Like, even when I was 7 and 8 years old, that was my thought process. Was like, oh, they just needed to put a name on this box. Okay.
Here's the thing
but,
of why
but
this...
for a lot of people, that was canon. Like, and I'm not saying that is like in the normal fandom sense of canon. This is what actually happened in the story. I'm saying it in a very religious sense. This is gospel canon for some people.
Well, this is the thing. This is my thing. Like, toxic nerd culture is always bad, right? Like, I'm not saying that like this whole thing of like gatekeeping based on do you know X piece of trivia is good. It never has been. But
it never is. No.
In minor defense is that 25 years ago, if you were a pedantic nerd who like who knew trivial stuff, you had to work for that. Like, you had to go dig up some source book or some like thing and like study closely and memorize that stuff. It's 2021. We all have access to Wikipedia on our phone, okay? So guess what? It doesn't matter. It didn't matter then that you knew every little thing. It was fun to know it. Like, yeah, I'm a big Star Wars fan, but I was always a bigger Star Trek fan, and I know the names of like all these classes of starship and all this stuff that I spent all the hours and hours and hours poring over.
Dude, we've dragged the show to a crawl just to talk about our favorite Federation ships.
I'm just saying the Akira class and the NX-01 are just flipped.
It's true.
Yeah, it's the like. I have a detailed, intimate knowledge of many different fandoms, and I've enjoyed gaining that. It's not it doesn't make me better than any other fan to know this stuff, though. And it definitely, in an age where anyone can look up any minute detail of anything we're watching in seconds from every franchise immediately, it definitely doesn't make you cooler than anyone else because you didn't look it up. Also, you're more likely to be wrong because I checked the canon and you're just remembering what you remembered from one time you watched it 10 years ago.
It's so it was such a strange thing because again it's just a Lego box. You could call it whatever the hell you want when you take it out of the box.
No one's gonna come to your house and slap you across the face because you call the ship Slave-1 instead of Boba Fett's starship.
It's.
I mean, like, I might, but no one from Disney's going to.
No one from Lego is going to either. Like, they're too busy making wholesome reality shows and trying to figure out how to make renewable, recyclable bricks.
I mean, maybe D. Bradley Baker, the actor who portrayed him in Lego Star Wars, is going to come and slap you across the face.
He might get you. He might come get you. But wait, no, he can't, Trey. Disney's got him tied up. So long as we keep doing Bad Batch and Clone Wars things, and he's playing the entire principal cast of shows, he's gonna be tied up for a while.
Is he in those?
In the Bad Batch, he plays the titular Bad Batch, all 5 of them.
Oh, okay.
And in Clone Wars, he played all of the clones. So, but with this current show, there are huge swaths of it that are just him talking to himself
Well,
in slightly different voices.
oh, and apparently he's going to be on Star Trek Prodigy.
Oh, awesome! That looks fun.
Yeah.
I
These guys hate that show too, and they haven't actually released any moving footage.
they haven't released a single. I cannot imagine. It's so weird that there are these again these toxic fandoms that base their entire identity around hating something. Well, meanwhile, I'm just in the corner being like, new CBS Star Trek isn't perfect, but I've got so much Star Trek right now.
Oh my god! Well, here's the thing. Like my favorite thing about I watched this one guy's video. It was like 8 minutes long, and he besides apparently part of his YouTube channel's show's intro was like a cameo. He paid for one of the Discovery actors to do a cameo, saying the name of his show. He then shits on Discovery 5 seconds later in the video. I'm like, you paid that actor like X $100 to like to say something you don't like the show? Okay. And but then like I was like, they're talking about how like they started how bad this the character designs for Star Trek Prodigy looked, and I was like, okay, and I was kept waiting for him to explain why they were bad. Like even just any criticism, other like, and he, like I watched an 8-minute video in which he didn't actually explain why they were bad, like why the designs were bad. He just said they were, and then made fun of Discovery for 5 minutes, made fun of other, and then like, I'm like, you fucking grifter.
and that's all it's the same thing that it's like this weird thing that we're seeing now where these people who don't know anything about animation, but because the statutory rapist who made Ren and Stimpy got angry at CalArt Studio, they just throw the term CalArt Studio around,
yeah, the CalArt
whatever
stuff,
it is. Yeah. Or like you're seeing even on Twitter right now, my other favorite stupid discourse are these people getting upset about the character designs for a Yogi Bear reboot. Who gives a shit? But two, are we really like going on to say
yeah.
Hanna-Barbera used to really stand for animation? I'm like, no, they didn't.
They really
put
didn't.
A necktie on the bear because they didn't want to draw the neck moving.
Yeah, no, it's they notoriously reused animation and cheaped out constantly. They were a factory. It's my favorite thing is like the Sandman reactions where like people were complaining about woke casting because a non-binary actor was cast as Desire. Let's just settle that for a moment.
Did they read the book? What the fuck?
No, it's fucking Desire has been non-binary since they have first appeared in the comic. It's Neil Gaiman has apologized because it's because a lot of people don't like the it as a pronoun, but that was the pronoun that Gaiman used for the character. I mean, there are non-binary people who use it as their pronoun, and I don't.
I'll respect that if that's your wish, but I'm uncomfortable with it.
Yeah, like, I feel uncomfortable with this, but I will use it as your pronoun. But give me the singular they any day. But I'm like, Desire has always been flipping non-binary. Like, I'm just like y'all didn't even read the thing.
Or the ones that really don't know what they're talking about, who with like Neil Gaiman must be spinning in his grave.
Well, that
and
particular
Neil Gaiman
one,
being
yeah.
Like, I'm fine actually.
Yeah, right. I've helped cast it. Not dead. Also helped make the decision. Oh, it's just so. Oh, these guys. It's outrage. What they do is they feed on outrage. They don't really care about these properties. They are people who have made these properties their identity.
Hmm.
And it's a combination of that plus grifters who want to milk outrage whenever they can to get YouTube views and as many, internet dollars as they can.
Like, how many of the people who were pretending to be upset about She-Ra and the Princesses of Power even watched the original She-Ra? How
Yeah.
many do you even bet?
Yeah.
Do you think
Hardly.
any of them did?
Well, like
I don't think they.
remember the outrage at like the Thundercats reboot that really never went anywhere, but that like because it was like kind of in the same style. I'm like, why are you guys mad that like they did a like the modern looking Thundercats thing in a more like realistic style, and none of you fuckers watched it.
Yeah,
Like they're making this because nobody watched the version you're saying which would be better.
it's and ironically enough, it's kind of why it's actually kind of why I'm not I'm still excited for it, but I'm not as excited for Kevin Smith's He-Man
I have
thing.
zero interest in it. I have
It
zero interest in it.
visually it's not doing anything new.
It looks to me
It looks like the 2000s one again.
yeah, it looks like the 2000. It looks exactly like it, and like I've got He-Man from that action figure line in the room. I have the version with the Iron Cross on it, and not the H modified one that came later.
Beautiful. I approve strongly.
Yeah, except like I'm also like, do I really want an action figure with an Iron Cross on it? Like, I'm like, Hasbro made the right decision changing that. Like when I was like 20 years ago, I was annoyed about it, but now I'm like, that was the right call.
I think Hasbro made the right call, but there is the subversive part of me likes the idea that another albeit after the fact gay icon like He-Man stealing the Iron Cross
Oh yeah.
kind of that feels good. That feels real
Oh,
good.
yeah.
But yeah, like it's just like
I don't.
She-Ra had a new style. It
So,
tried to be a new thing, and I just don't feel that with the.
I haven't finished She-Ra yet, but when I've watched
It's really
some of it.
good.
I've watched some of it. I've watched a
It's
chunk of it,
so
and
good.
I like it a lot.
Sorry.
And the reason why I like it is because it feels modern and new, and like it's not the thing that I watched as a kid. It's something new with that idea. What this reboot of He-Man looks like to me is that somebody wanted to do like, well, and this is what they tried to do in 2002 also, which did not take off, which was take the concept of He-Man and just do it straight, as in like, well, what if He-Man was better written? Like, and I'll admit it's probably going to be a much better show than the original He-Man. Like, I have no doubt in my mind that this new Kevin Smith He-Man is going to be a much better He-Man than the 1980s He-Man I grew up with. There's no
But
doubt
that's
in my
not
mind
hard
about
to
that.
do.
But also, I'm like, I'm not interested in watching Conan the Barbarian movies either. Like, you're not doing something like I've already seen this idea to two different levels of quality, right? I don't need it a third time, and I don't think it's going to be. And here's the thing: the reason why She-Ra is great is because it said who was She-Ra's original audience, right? It was kids. So let's make a show that's accessible to the new generation of kids, with just enough nostalgia for their parents to watch with them, right? Or, well, I guess actually even skips a generation there for a lot of them.
Yeah, it probably skips a generation for a lot of them, but yeah,
this Kevin Smith He-Man looks like it's He-Man for the same people who grew up with He-Man, and I just don't think there are enough people who give a shit.
I think that you could demonstrably show that because, like, again, I can't speak for anybody. I only have the limited evidence I have, but even like let's not mince words. A lot of these 80s properties were out there to sell toys. We all know that.
They 100% were. They're
100%
fairly transparent about it.
If you go to a toy aisle at like your Target right now, though, I guarantee you, Star Wars shelf is going to be barren. The last couple lines of Transformers have been pretty baller, so like you usually see those shelves pretty empty. There are all these retro style He-Man and Skeletors. Every store I go to, they're packed to the gills with them.
Yeah.
it looks like no one's buying them because guess what? No one's fucking buying them.
Yeah, well, here's the
The
thing: is
the
Star Wars
people
and
who grew up with it
Transformers.
have it.
Star Wars and
Yeah.
Transformers try to hit the same nostalgia button that He-Man would, but the difference is the Transformers and Star Wars really never went away, and Transformers never went away. Transformers has been constantly reiterating new franchises, new continuity, restarting constantly, adapting itself for the current age of children who are out there. Now,
Mm-hmm.
She-Ra was this huge gap in time, but was very successful because it adapted itself to the new generation. Voltron was very successful because it
Because it
adapted itself to the
adapted
new
to a new.
generation
Yep.
without holding itself to the baggage of being like Voltron. They tried to reboot, like, has been rebooted multiple times, right? Like, there's the
Yeah.
CGI series, there's the animated series after that, and they kept trying to like hold on to old continuity.
Yeah.
And
Each and every attempted Voltron reboot from the 90s was in direct continuity with a cartoon that none of the kids watching would have seen.
yeah, and it's meanwhile,
All of them.
and then so like, but even with the parts where like they they had new characters, and so you wouldn't have to know the continuity. Like, it was this, they were still like enslaved to the setting and the tone of the original series, where when they rebooted it and they started from scratch and they said, we're going to use these character names, we're going to use this as the basis, but we're going to go in our own thing, and we're going to build this story to the tone of what audiences would want now, what a new audience would enjoy. And that's why Voltron and She-Ra were good and ended up being very successful. And that's why this new Masters of the Universe I have zero interest in, though. Where the other
But
two, I was like, I'd like to watch this. This one, I'm like,
yeah, exactly. Well, like She-Ra was, it took the parts that worked from the original and then did a heaping helping of Steven Universe and Avatar: The Last Airbender, which incidentally are both shows that are objectively better than the original She-Ra.
yeah.
I don't feel bad saying that.
All right. We should probably wrap this up, though.
Yeah, that's the point is there's so many. It's the same. I want to wrap it up with this. The thing you see reactionary nerds doing is the same thing you're seeing reactionary conservatives do. They're looking for something to be angry about, and they're angry about it for reasons that, if you think about it for more than 30 seconds, don't make a lick of sense.
Yeah.
That's always what it is. That's what it continues to be. It's what conservatives do. They look for things to get angry about and then accuse everyone else of being unreasonable.
So, yeah. With that, we should move on to the Vomit Head Steve challenge.
Challenge.
All right. So, the Vomit Head Steve challenge is the part of the show where I pick up a book and I read a line from it, and the challenge to you, the listeners, to guess what book I am reading from. If you guess the book correctly, you get added to our Hall of Awesome. The benefits of the Hall of Awesome are as follows. 1, I read your name aloud every episode. 2, we put your name on a website, on a web page that's buried on our website. And 3, absolutely nothing else. This is dumb. All right. The current members of the Hall of Awesome are as follows. Arkamai, Zero, Rena Innocenti, Cheesy McDamu, Krista, Slithery D, Shameless Otaku, The Random Ramblings Man, Corfan, Capito, Chris Graham, Lillisaurus, Paper Godzilla, Cavsy, The Minnesota Librarian, Sean Orange, Keith Shizuo, Sakura Sunset, Joel Kreisman, Patrick Delahanty, Wonderland Hearts, and Megsy Sass Council. And the line that I am reading now is, in her gentle giant sort of way, Grace talked me down by saying that I was not an impulsive person, I had just done an impulsive thing. If you know what book that's from, go to nerdandtie.com/contact, fill out the little form, and tell us. Or if you have like any other thoughts, we often will do feedback and news bag at the end of the episode whenever you guys send stuff in. Go there and tell us your thoughts, your dreams, your hopes, your relative shoe size compared to a mountain lion, and whatever you want. Just, what are you annoyed with people being angry about irrationally on the internet? Tell us.
Yeah, shoot it our way. We might need a topic next month. Who knows?
We got like we'll talk about the rest of Loki.
I was about to say I'm confident we'll have a lot of fun things to talk about for next month. There's the rest of Loki.
There's someone else will do something stupid on the internet.
Mm-hmm. The newest Gundam movie is getting released on Netflix, like literally 3 months after it was in Japanese theaters. I'm excited for that.
That seems both soon and late. Yeah, we'll find out what Gen did. Just ask Gen how their vacation was.
Yeah, there's Gen Ventures. Who knows? Maybe someone else cool will come out as non-binary.
I don't know. Like, it's
like fingers crossed. There's still time. Happy Pride Month, y'all.
Yeah. Anyways, Nick, who were we?
We are, of course, the Nerd and Tie cast. I'm Nick Izumi.
I'm Trey Doran, and Gen is off somewhere in the wilderness, wandering, lost and alone.
You can support Gen by looking up Ocelot Dude Designs on the internet.
Yeah.
And then they'll find their way home, probably.
Yeah. Buy a neat pillow. Also, you can support the show directly by sponsoring an episode, or you can support Nick. Nick and I both have Patreons. Nick's is at patreon.com/nickizumi. Mine's at patreon.com/TRAEGORN. And yeah, we are again a part of the Nerd and Tie podcast network. We got a lot of great shows. I mentioned BS for Witchcraft, a show I host. We're going to talk more about that Loki stuff in August. But besides that,
looking forward to it.
I've been listening to Let's Be Legendary lately, and it's really good. Just listen to Let's Be Legendary. It's a really fun show. And you can find more about that. It's an actual play show, D&D 5th edition, and you can find out more at nerdandtie.com/legendary. Remember, you can follow us on social media. We are on Twitter at Nerd and Tie. We are at Facebook at facebook.com/nerdandtie, and we're on Tumblr at nerdandtie.tumblr.com. Remember, you can subscribe to this podcast on all major podcatchers. If you're on Apple Podcasts, go rate and review us while you're there, because it helps us in the algorithm. And that would be really cool of you. And
yeah, that'd be really great. I would like that.
Yeah. So, in your heart, in your mind, in the places that you don't dare think of in the dark of night, remember, we will be there. Always beyond and never in front of you. Always just slightly to the left of behind you, putting our hand on your shoulder at the most inopportune moment to give you support in a really inappropriate way.
And as always, keep on spocking in the free world.
Unless you don't want to. And then we'll just quietly judge you. You don't have to. Look, man, you don't have to do anything you don't want to do, but we are just going to say, if you don't keep spocking in the free world, we're going to be quietly judging you and your life choices, and it's going to become a whole thing. Don't let it become a whole thing, man.
Yeah, don't make it a thing. It doesn't have to be a thing.